Have you ever wondered what your beloved elf on the shelf gets up to when you're asleep? Well, today we're gonna show you an elf on the shelf caught moving on camera, flying, and even talking. Like this video and subscribe, let's get right into it. We don't know for sure what the elf on the shelf here is doing in this clip, but its movement caught on camera suggests that perhaps there's another elf on the shelf nearby who's about to join his buddy in front of the camera, so let's check it out. Strangest elves on the shelves caught on camera clips. Rather than the owners of the elves setting up the camera themselves to catch their elves moving, the elves themselves decided to do the honor by filming themselves moving. The elves recorded this clip in the middle of the night when the owners were sleeping. This guy wanted to cut his elf on the shelf open to see what was inside of it, and you should never hurt your elves on a shelf like that because they're live creatures, and as you will see, the elf just disappeared from the table and just reappeared on the ceiling, meanwhile shutting off the lights. This is one of the creepiest elf on the shelf sightings ever.
What the heck? Yo, I don't know how he's able to do this, and I don't know why his eyes are glowing red, but I don't like this. Yo, what the? Cause he just disappeared. What the heck? His eyes are there now. Where did he go? Elf, where are you?
This is probably one of the most confusing elf on the shelf caught on camera videos we've seen. While we're still trying to adjust elves on the shelf moving, now we have to see them create extra legs from sneakers to walk and run around the house. Confused? Check out the confusing clip for yourself. Maybe you'll figure it out. This woman started hearing bell noises coming out of her fridge, meaning that some of her elves were caught inside of it. When she opened the fridge door, she found one of the elves wearing green clothes hanging upside down, and another elf with more usual red attire being stuck inside a water bottle. The elf wrote a note asking for help. Finally, the green elf speaks and explains how this entire situation came to be, so let's check it out.
The water bottle, but how'd she get in there? What? Zart, how in the world did Meebles get inside that water bottle?
Well, I was hanging upside down and I thought she might want to go in there because it'd be, toasty and cold, kind of like the North Pole. And
This little child wanted to catch an elf on the shelf, but it takes a weird turn because not even the kid can figure out what the elf was doing. The elf captured in this clip is a really strange fellow and his behavior is peculiar to say the least. The security camera of a home captured something bizarre when the owners were not at home. In this clip, the elf on the shelf was caught on camera moving directly in front of the security camera and then started staring at it. What a sight to see. So this dad set up security cameras in his kid's room to capture the elf, and they were checking out the footage, which is just insane and I can't believe it's real. Do you think this elf on the shelf started moving around the camera, or is this fake? The elf on the shelf doesn't want to be seen moving when people are around, but in this case it did start moving while on camera. I don't see how you could fake this, but you can see that the elf on the shelf is moving out of the box, jumping out of the box, and roaming all over the room, and it's absolutely spectacular, so let's check it out. Now we have a clip of an elf on the shelf recording a gameplay video of him playing Minecraft. We didn't know that elves also like playing video games, and no one can really be sure if it's true or whether this elf is one of a kind who likes gaming. Anyways, he's the only one who has recorded gameplay video, so let's check it out. So this YouTuber is flying his drone around the playground near his house looking to capture some beautiful winter footage, but he got shocked by an elf on the shelf that appeared in frame. Apparently, the elf jumped to the ground and latched onto the drone. You can see his little elf legs wiggling around, but eventually we can see the entire face of this elf. This is an amazing clip showing that elves on the shelf can be captured moving not just inside the house, but also outside, so let's check it out.
Can ever say they saw this, that's for sure. This is crazy. Oh my, okay, that's it. You know what? If he doesn't want to get off the drone, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna fly it so fast, he'll have no choice but to fall off. Come on, keep going, keep going. Look, he's shaking. He's shaking off. This might be working, actually.
This is definitely not your traditional elf on the shelf caught moving on camera clip, but it's a fun one nonetheless. The elf jumps off the hearth to attack its owner, and after this intense fight, the elf emerges as the winner, leaving its owner lying unconscious on the ground. Luckily, the rest of the family returned home in time to help the guy.
Oh, I don't think so. I'm not today. Oh, what? Where did he go? Oh.
Honey, it's Daddy! Oh no!
at least the elf's okay.
We must admit, this is one of the most confusing elves on the shelf caught on camera clips that we've ever seen, because we still don't know if the elf in this clip was trying to have what seemed to be a salt bath or if they were trying to hide in it. Enjoy the clip and tell us your opinions in the comments. The final clip shows an elf who's obviously in a party mood. In the days leading up to Christmas, this smart little guy eventually figured out how to use a laptop and goes to YouTube to listen to some music, and he apparently knew exactly what he was in the mood for before starting his little party, as he starts playing his favorite song and showing off his sick dance moves. Partying with elves would be super fun, and it's a pity that they aren't allowed to move in front of people. Who knew that elves like to dance? Not just dance, but at such a pace as these elves. If you can try moving your legs as quickly as these cute little elves, and you will see how difficult it is. We have this elf on the shelf sitting beside his little friend, and in this video, both of them can be seen smiling in front of the camera. Not only that, guys, but they also move their eyes. Alright, it's a little creepy, but that's okay since they meant no harm. You probably know that elves are great beings that are meant to protect little kids. These elves must be used to being captured on camera, and they should be aware by now that people know that they can come to life. And back in the day, every elf was captured moving on camera would get fired, but maybe this year Santa has changed the North Pole laws or something like that, because this elf was sitting with his face turned away from the camera when out of nowhere it just turned around and looked straight into it. It's just insane, so let's check it out. This guy is aware that something is going on late at night and that their elf was up to something, so he installed a concealed camera to catch this mischievous elf. Let's take a look at what he's got. Alright, so it enters the room, disappears behind the table, and starts flying across the room. This elf is definitely using elf magic, but following this performance, he goes to the bedroom where the man is sleeping, and well, let's just take a look at what the elf ends up doing. If you're interested in learning how to catch your elf pulling pranks on you outside your door, you should watch this clip. So here's what happened. An elf was captured on camera ringing the doorbell of one of the family's homes, which was lucky because they had a security camera in place at the front door. As a result, his little naughty act was exposed and he got captured on camera doing the usual mischievous behavior that elves like to do. An elf on the shelf was caught on camera, actually teasing the viewers. The elf in this clip is seen playing hide and seek with the camera. How cute. While this is one of the shortest clips on the list, the surprise it packs will give you thrills. Not only did we get to see an elf that decorates, but we also got an elf on the shelf that would go into hiding immediately rather than admire its own work. A family chronicled the presence of the elf on the shelf, who usually comes to them and then goes back to the North Pole at the end of the year, hopefully to report good things about them to Santa. It would be a shame if the elf's report made its own owners end up on the naughty list. I've noticed that these elves love teleporting back and forth a lot. This first clip shows elves named Marshmallow and Mocha chilling in the wreath, and then you can see them glittering all around. They were caught at 4 in the morning, and you can see the first teleportation. The owner of the footage claims to have seen 2 elves teleporting back and forth, possibly reporting to Santa. Let's see more of the satisfying teleportation. They caught the elves not only moving and flying, but also talking and laughing with the hamsters. They only could record this event with a high-tech camera because normal cameras usually can't capture the magic of elves, so it's a really rare clip. In this clip, YouTuber perilous managed to catch their elves on the shelf sneaking various candies and sweets. We can't blame them. After all, sweets are the main source of energy for elves. In this clip, we have an elf that doesn't wait until nightfall to stretch his legs for a bit. His name is Boris, and he seems to be unaware of the fact that he's been set up and is being filmed. After his human friend leaves him sitting on the sofa alone for just a minute to go downstairs, it only takes Boris a moment to seize the opportunity. The little fella gets up and spins around, doing pirouette-like movements, almost as if he's practicing figure skating. For an instant, he disappears from the screen before flying back into view and then dropping down on his face as he hears his friend coming back. Unfortunately, Boris might have been a little too reckless since he was not only caught on camera, but even gives himself away due to the fact that he's in a completely different position than what his human friend left him in before. This guy was flying his drone around the neighborhood when he came upon an elf on the shelf at the playground. Who knew that elves also like spending their time there? But that's not all, because the elf starts moving and using magic tricks to vanish into thin air before reappearing soon after and testing out one of the slides, so keep on watching.
The right way, bro. You're supposed to go down the slide. Guys, I don't think there's slides at the North Pole. Like, I don't know. He doesn't know how it works. Do something off of the shelf, please. Go. Oh, yo. What? Where'd he go? Bro, he literally just disappeared. Yo. Hello? Off the shelf, what are you doing? He just went down the slide. Yay. Good.
This family decided to play hide and seek at their house with a giant elf on the shelf. You can see the elf walking through the house looking for children who were hiding, and eventually the elf comes upon the suspicious cardboard box sitting in the middle of the kitchen. So let's see if the elf...
That's all Spider-Head. Oof.
Alright, you guys ready? You better be, because the elf on the shelf is coming in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wait, okay, so the elf's got to pick one box. One box. Where are you going to go there, elf? Whoa, what's going on? Are you picking this? Uh-oh!
So 2 weeks before Christmas, this dad caught their elf on the shelf just flying in the middle of the video, and he was recording. Actually, this dad and his family have a verified elf on the shelf YouTube channel that they captured their elf moving a few times, so it must be a real video, and what you're seeing has happened for real. It's about to get even crazier, so make sure to keep on watching until the end. As you might know, elves on the shelf move around only during the night so they can't be seen by humans, but this clip shows something different because it proves that some elves also move during the day and even scare children in broad daylight. Just look at this elf simply chilling at the fireplace. It's one of the stranger clips because it's super weird to see an elf moving in bright daylight, and it even seems to be aware of the fact that he's being recorded, but it doesn't stop him from moving, so let's check it out. These two mischievous elves were spotted having some fun with the camera. They were undoubtedly drawn to the shining item that seemed to be staring right at them. The second elf was initially camera shy, and the other occasionally strikes a pose. Elves are really something else. The other elf is in the back beginning to move as well. It's just unbelievable. You can't just tell me that these aren't real. Now we have a clip of this cheerful and adorable elf that was discovering playing in the house and being watched by the cat. After climbing the stairs, the elf balances itself high up on the stair railing before sliding down. The landing probably hurt, so he's gonna try it again with a pillow. Fortunately, the cat was super patient with his little elf friend and no harm was done to it. It doesn't matter how long it takes when an elf on the shelf decides to do something, because they do it eventually. In this clip, a kid sets up a hidden camera to catch his elf on the shelf moving on camera, and what this camera managed to capture will scare you. It will make you question everything you know about elves on the shelf, so let's check it out. This clip shows another example of elves that like to use flying technology instead of magic. These kids were on a mission to catch their elf on the shelf as a part of their Christmas celebration. They were hoping to meet the elf on the Christmas tree and see it with their own eyes, but it had other plans. Stay around, as 2 hours later the elf made a grand descent flying a candy-filled toy airplane, which is nothing surprising considering elves love sweets. In this clip, the elf was caught moving its eyes, and it's very rare to see an elf on a shelf moving its eyes, so it's a super special case. The person who took this video hung a candy stick on the elf's little hand. Then they must have looked away or something, because elves don't move at all if someone's looking at them. At that point, you can see the elf moving its eyes, and it's just absolutely nuts, so let's take a look. This clip isn't anything new, but a moving elf is still fascinating to watch. Did you notice the elf's movement near the door? According to the video's owner, he was astonished when he saw the clip recorded on a surveillance camera, and then he was super happy about his decision to place it there. A kid and her mom caught their elf on the shelf moving on camera by a lucky accident. But in this clip, the elf was seen climbing down from the top of the wall to first rest under the pillows and then suddenly reappear to start moving towards the camera. The elf even seems to be smiling at the end, so let's check it out. Up next is this little naughty elf caught moving and tumbling down this little platform he was standing on, next to the little royal guard. It's just a short video, but it's worth watching. Since it's an elf on the shelf getting caught moving, let's check it out. For the elf on the shelf in this clip, nighttime means playtime. In this clip, an elf on the shelf can be seen moving and trying to wake up its sleeping friends. After a long time of disturbance, it eventually falls on its friends and joins the sleeping camp. Elves also need rest. These hungry elves are going straight to the kitchen cupboard to get some snacks. Honestly, you'll have to give them credit just for finding where all the good stuff is stored, so you can't even blame them for stealing the food. In this clip, the elves are caught by security cameras taking some sweets, so let's check it out. This clip captured a day in the lives of 3 elves on the shelf, from working around the house to giving a haircut to their friend Barbie. This is an insane clip that shows a lot of details on how the elves spend their free time, so let's take a look. In this clip, the elf can be seen wanting to climb down the staircase, but as if it knew there was a hidden camera trying to capture that exact moment. So the elf went back and hid, but then continued to peep as if it was hoping that the camera would move or stop rolling. So let's check it out. Now we have a clip that captured the spontaneous moment when this dad got their elf on the shelf moving in the middle of the night. Right before this footage, he was told by kids that they should put on a CCTV camera to catch the elf, and so here we are. It turns out you should listen to your kids, especially when it comes to magical stuff like you're witnessing in this clip. 2 elves on the shelf were caught moving on camera and having a string showdown on their own. It's hard to know who will win between the two, so pick your fighter and keep on watching until the end. This clip was captured by a spy camera, and it shows an elf on the shelf who's trying to escape the house. While it should be happy to be spending time with a company containing other toys and dolls, this elf isn't so and decides to sneak around. In a twisted turn of events, an elf on the shelf decided to reveal itself and got caught on camera moving, but only on its own terms, moving enough for the camera to capture its movement but also hiding from the camera too. Elves coming alive and starting to move is already scary knowledge, but also knowing that it doesn't only come alive, but can sometimes help with the house chores without you knowing can be even scarier. In this clip, an elf on the shelf is seen flying into the laundry room before flying into the washing machine and then bringing out a sock. What a helper. This elf was captured taking care of a sweet tooth with his fellow elves and making them cookies. This is a very nice gesture and it shows how caring and considerate these magical beings are. Would you like to taste a cookie made by an elf? This clip shows an elf on the shelf that was captured jumping up and down and moving from one place to another. It probably had a restless night, but it eventually got tired and found a place to rest. This clip shows one of the elves driving a super expensive sports car. Obviously, it's a toy car because no elf on the shelf is large enough to drive a normal car, but it's just crazy to think that they know how to drive, and it shows that elves on the shelf have many different talents. In this clip, an elf on the shelf was caught on camera moving, but where the other elves on the shelf clips usually have elves moving around with no destination in mind, this elf on the shelf has a purpose, and that's to find its fluffy friend. So let's check it out. In this clip, an elf on the shelf was caught on camera playing by itself around the house, a classical moving elf on the shelf.